So I always have some measure of doubt, even about my own work. In other words, I realize there's a margin of error with any video I present. And I was beginning to wonder a little bit about, am I correct when I state that this Barrie Schwortz, the expert on the Shroud of Turin, is actually comedian George Carlin? And so I decided to do a little more work and make some comparisons using some different methodology other than the usual methodology that I use. Trying to use some fancy words on you there. Well, anyhow, Barrie Schwortz is supposedly an expert on the Shroud of Turin. Now, the Shroud of Turin is reported to be the burial cloth of the Lord Jesus Christ, and it's kept in Turin in Italy, and it's shown like every 5 years. Well, Barrie Schwortz was the lead photographer in the expedition in the year 1978 to photograph it, study it, and provide scientific evidence one way or the other, whether it's valid or invalid. So this is Barrie Schwortz giving some kind of a TED Talk. Watch out for these TED Talks. Talk your head right off. Okay, so what I want to do is use a very different, unique approach to identifying Barrie Schwortz as comedian George Carlin. Now you're looking at Barrie Schwortz, and the first thing I noticed when I watched this video, this is not the same one, the one in front of your screen was a TED Talk, but when I watched this video, the very first thing I noticed was he came out with long hair, and they're hiding it right here, but he's got like a hair piece, or hair, it holds the hair down. So the hair is actually hanging down on his back, and it looks scaggy. I hope that's a correct word, scaggy. And the same here with the TED Talk. Now, to me, you can see it right here. It really needs cut. And immediately, in my mind, I jumped to George Carlin. Now, you may not approve, and you may not agree, and that's fine with me. But I'm going to try a little different approach to substantiate my find. If you notice, this Barrie Schwortz doesn't really have much hair right here or here. You can see kind of like a shining baldness spot right here in hair, and he loves to wear his hair long and scaggy. This is a little bit younger George Carlin. Now notice the bald spots right here and here. And notice he does like to wear his hair long and scaggy. And he does like to have some type of a beard. And you say, well, that's not proof enough. For me it is. Especially when you realize that where hair grows and doesn't grow is actually kind of a signature of that individual. And the preferences. Notice Carlin's preference. He wants some hair and he likes a beard. So he wants some hair and he likes a beard. And he has these shiny bald spots up here toward the forehead. So you can see it, and I'm not going to play them, but I'll show you these other little videos of Carlin and the hair and the head, the hair or the non-hair and the head and the head. The pattern is the same. The preference for the beard, the preference for some scaggy hair hanging in the back, there's a good one to show you what I mean, right there. So he goes on in his talks about how it's really crazy that a Jew would be interested in the Shroud of Turin, and if you watch this video here, it's almost along the lines of a George Carlin comedy routine. So I'll take you to the pic try if, back to the traditional method that I use. And this is where I got my highest match, right here. Barrie Schwortz, the expert on the Shroud of Turin, is comedian George Carlin. The Shroud of Turin, just a hoax and a comedy show. There's no burial cloth of Jesus survived over 2,000 years. Don't be ridiculous. And besides, if you are a believer, you don't need the burial cloth of Jesus to prove the faith. We know by the faith that God has given us that Christ arose from the dead, victorious over death. Don't let these liars pull you into their hoaxes. Don't let them trip you up and buy their books and attend their seminars. Devote your time to truth. Now I'd like to say a word about people sometimes will say, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. And I'd like to come back and say, the only thing that I really want you to agree on is We have been lied to about many, many, many things. And I'm almost at the point of saying we've been lied to about everything. But I'm going to hold off on making that statement. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. End of video.